Hi, it's James Wood here from Totally Wild UK. We're just taking a look at a mushroom down here that is sometimes confused for one of the gourmet edibles and one of the mushrooms that everyone looks for. That mushroom is a girolle or a chanterelle, and what we've got down here is something called a false chanterelle. So if you ever want to go out and pick chanterelles, you should definitely get used to identifying a false chanterelle first. Personally, I don't think you could confuse the two with each other if you saw the two next to each other. If you saw a chanterelle next to a false chanterelle. But you could definitely confuse the two together if you came into a woodland like this one, where you haven't found chanterelles, true chanterelles, and prior to finding them you come across a false chanterelle. It's orange, it's quite vibrant. If you were to pick it up, it looks like it's got gill-like ridges, and if you thought, great, got it, without actually investigating it properly, you could chuck a whole load in these in the basket and head back and cook up. And if you were to do that, these would give you a really, really dicky tummy. So it wouldn't kill you, but it would give you a night on the toilet from both ends. Not ideal. So we'll go over the ID features of this one, the false chanterelle, and I'll keep comparing it back to the actual chanterelle, the true chanterelle, just so when you're out, if you find one or the other, you can go through these points perfectly. So orange on top, actually to pick it up, if you had a chanterelle and a false chanterelle together, the false chanterelle feels really spongy and really, really soft, a little bit leathery on top, a little bit less golden in colour, and sometimes you get this, so you get slight dried rings around the cap and it goes into a funnel, but the chanterelle also looks like it goes into a funnel. So the next thing is the underside. So you can see here it's got gills. The false chanterelle, this one, has true gills, so the gills actually look like the pages of paper. So if you were to open a book, the pages of a book, those pieces of paper, this is what these look like, true gills, whereas the chanterelle has gill-like ridges, so they're literally just folds in the gill. They're not true gills. If we were to rip this one in half, the centre of it is also orange. So you see the cap is orange, the centre here is also orange, like the cap. If this was a chanterelle, the centre would be white colour. So when the false chanterelle is younger, it typically starts off with slightly quite rounded cap like this. And as it gets older and slightly larger, the edge of the cap can become incredibly wavy, like this one. I actually think it'd be the younger ones that you potentially confuse with the true chanterelles, the girolle. So I've got a younger one here. And at this stage, this is probably when you confuse it for a very young chanterelle. But what's interesting, before it opens up fully at this young stage, it's got slightly in-rolled margins, so the edge in-rolls on itself. And that's the same as a mushroom, also in this family, the brown roll rim. So that edge is in-rolled when it's young, which is quite distinctive for this one. At this stage, the true gills could look like gill-like ridges. So this is probably when we're most likely to confuse the two. And then smell. This one smells slightly mushroomy, but if we'd got a fresh chanterelle and picked it up and give it a good sniff, especially it's fresh straight out of the ground, it'd smell like apricots. And then if you were to munch this one, slightly mushroomy, slightly bitter. But if you were to munch on a chanterelle, you get slight sweetness and then a slight pepperiness come through, and you can feel the texture when you put a chanterelle is like much more crispy. I wouldn't really advise picking one unless you've found both of them previously. You really want to be finding false chanterelles before you even start picking chanterelles and get used to those. The really annoying thing is that sometimes, like a woodland like this, we'll come across loads of false chanterelles before we start coming across chanterelles. But yeah, one definitely to get used to, so we can feel super confident when we're out picking the girolles or the chanterelles. And that's it. This one is a false chanterelle.